So last night Warframe got a very, and I mean a very much needed hotfix in order to address a lot of the issues that arrived with the game during that koumei update. So let's just jump in to footage, shall we? There will be no Plague Star event this year. Well, that's what it looks like at least, which absolutely sucks. Last time this showed up was November 2023. This is where the Warframe community would farm fully built Forma. But with 1999 around the corner and the koumei update along with the busy year that DE have had, they've decided to leave it this time around because they've got no time to set up Plague Star. So they've moved some of its rewards from Plague Star to Daughter's Sybaris store in Deimos right now, so that's where you want to go if you want to pick up some of these rewards. But here you're going to be able to get Plague Star parts and the Exodia Arcanes, but no fully built Forma, which legit sucks because the koumei update has drained my Forma stockpile dry. Every pet weapon, every change needed several different Forma. So if you need Plague Star parts, go to Daughter, or if you need any of those Exodia Arcanes, that's where you go because she has them. Now, they've fixed an issue with players not receiving the free Caliban that you're supposed to get whenever you log in between now and the 16th of October. They've also fixed the broken AI on enemies in Netrocells. Thank feck. I ran that this week with the Netrocells, and between enemies not spawning and enemies staying several rooms away while spinning on the spot, it made the missions take far too long and it drained any fun out of those missions. So thankfully, they've fixed that. Now, one of the big changes with this hotfix was Caliban has received several fixes. His lethal progeny summons for his sentience now benefit from ability strength buffs like Empower, like Moat Vigor, etc. And the shared buffs like Ember's Fireball Frenzy, Grendel's Nourish, and so on also actually apply to those sentients now, whereas they didn't before, which was kind of bad. Which was, well, definitely feckin' bad. They've fixed an issue with the Ortalist Sentient summon where they didn't engage in combat, they just kind of stood there, struggled to aim, and lingered too long on dead enemies. A bit like Kubros or some of the enemies in Netrocells. Overall, it felt like with the koumei update, a lot of AI broke in the game, but they've kind of fixed that. And they've also fixed the Conquilist from damaging teammates during its tornado attack, which, if I'm going to be honest, I kind of think is hilarious and should have been left in at maybe a 5% chance. Just make it random, so that every now and then one of those sentients goes rogue and puts a beat down on your friend for getting you into Warframe in the first place, because now you've got no time to do anything else. So Caliban's summons now deal more damage and are much more consistent and actually work. Now, they've also fixed, put that in capital letters, not nerfed, the incarnon Sicarus. So this was dealing 90 times the normal damage, what it was supposed to be, right? 90. We were hitting enemies for hundreds of thousands of damage with no mods equipped on this weapon once it went into incarnon form. But to balance that fix, they've decided to turn around and actually buff the Sicarus itself, or the Sicarus incarnon. So for the base Sicarus incarnon, they have increased the Feigned Retreat and King's Gambit evolutions damage from 35 to 50. They've increased the Commodore's Fortune critical chance from 14 to 18. They've increased the Survivor's Edge critical chance and status chance from 9% to 12%, and for the Sicarus Prime Incarnate, they've increased the Feigned Retreat and King's Gambit's damage from 35 to 40. They've increased the Extended Volley magazine capacity from 9 to 12, and for both versions, they've increased the Incarnon charges, the amount you have, from 90 to 120. They've reduced English, John, try to speak English. They've reduced the recoil in the incarnon form. They've fixed the Feigned Retreat perk not applying its plus 35 base damage buff as well. So it's gone from being a broken, overpowered weapon that carried a lot of people through this week's Deep Archimedia, don't lie, we know it, right? We know it. To it now being just an okay incarnon, honestly. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just kind of middle of the table. Now, they had changed koumei so that teammates' kills would count towards her decree challenges, but they've quickly reverted that because it was causing Warframe to actually crash, the game wouldn't work. But expect that to maybe be re-added at a later date once they've actually fixed it. But they have also reduced the difficulty of some of her decree challenges, or at least the amount of kills needed to complete those decree challenges. Now, Nova's infinite wormhole strategy has also been fixed. I'm sure you're well aware of what this was, with the Nova portals being used as kind of choke points or in kind of dead-end areas as an AFK tactic, where you would have the portals and projectiles going through them, and enemies would just walk into the projectiles and instantly die, and it was an infinite loop. Okay, so they have fixed that. Basically, anything shot into a wormhole was just kept looping forever and killing anything that walked through it. This led to the AFK strategy, which DE are heavily, and I mean heavily, against. So now when you shoot a projectile through Nova's portal, it will go through it, but it will take up one of the wormhole's charges, whereas prior to this it didn't. It just, like I said, kept going. So they fixed that. They've also fixed a mistake with Varuna's Prey of Dinar ability with that augment. It was spreading far too far, I guess, when it shouldn't have. Normally, Prey of Dinar would make the spread range from 7 to 17.5 meters. If you added a mod like Stretch, it would bump that up to 25.3 meters, but the game was kind of doubling that by mistake, making it go all the way up to almost 40 meters. So that is now fixed. So there is no more super large spread of that ability, which was causing enemies to die several rooms away. Now, they have also fixed the savagery precept on the Sunica, because the Kubro would just stand there and do nothing, which kind of got mind killed so many times. But now he dies just a little bit less. Not a whole lot less, but just a little bit less. So the Sunica at least works now, whereas before, if you had this mod equipped, it would break him. Another fix that they implemented was Tiny Titania. If you used Helmet's Null Star, so Nova's Null Star, on your Titania while flying, sometimes you would get stuck being tiny when you come out of Razor Wing, which meant you couldn't use your main weapon. So that is now fixed. Also, the Razor Wing Blitz buff would get stuck at 100% and you couldn't go any faster. That's now fixed as well. They've also, and I had to put my glasses on just to make sure I actually seen this correctly, but they've also hotfixed some changes for Conclave. I know, I'm as shocked as you. People still play Conclave. Nova's antimatter drop has been nerfed because it hit too hard in Conclave and the radius of that antimatter drop was too big, so both of those have been reduced. But the big news for Conclave players out there, right, I know he's awaiting, is that Limbo, the poor old gentleman, has been banned from Conclave. The horror. Apparently, he just didn't fit the game mode, which is absolutely surprising considering he's a Warframe that can hide himself from everyone in a different dimension, which means no one can do any damage to him. So having him in Conclave in the first place was probably kind of fucking stupid. But what do I know? Now, they had a vote, apparently, a player vote for all of the 10 Conclave players out there, and at least maybe 6 of them decided that Limbo didn't fit, and he's now being removed from the game. So it's a sad day for Limbo players out there. Very sad day. Very sad day. Now, the incarnon Sybaris also got some buffs. They've buffed some of its evolution. So, Elemental Dominance for the Dex Sybaris, its base status chance went from 10% to 15%, so it still doubles in incarnon form because more status equals more fun. The Sybaris Prime, its base status chance bumped from 5% up to 8%. Same deal, it will double when it goes into incarnon form. Now, the Survivor's Edge evolution, the Dex Sybaris, its base status chance increased from 8% to 10%. Which is still a little bit better than what it was. And the Incarnon Evolution descriptions has changed the wording a little bit from, instead of it saying headshots required, it now needs weak point hits. So it looks like they're kind of changing away or moving away completely from having headshots as being, I guess, the key wording for a lot of this, and changing that to weak points instead. Because some enemies don't have heads and they don't have that kind of a weak spot. They have weak spots somewhere else. So the Incarnon Sybaris also got some love with last night's hotfix. But now, they did hotfix a lot more. It is a very large set of patch notes, but that's pretty much the big patches that I've gone over, with the exception of the Limbo one, of course, that's just for giggles, but it did happen. I will leave the patch notes in this video's description. You can go and check them out yourself just to see if or what I've left out that might interest you. Let me know what you think of these hotfix changes and, of course, the corrections to some of the things that were broken. Have a great day, have a great week, and as always, thanks for watching.